So I see that it's 10 a.m. So let's let's get started. Aloha, everybody. Welcome to the 2022 NCPW Virtual Consumer Fair, sponsored by the State of Hawaii Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs and the U.S. Postal Service. I'm Jackie Choi, the Consumer Protection Education Specialist from DCCA. I want to thank you for joining us to celebrate our 18th annual National Consumer Protection Week event. We're so excited to celebrate NCPW with a series of consumer protection workshops every day this week. We've got a great lineup, so make sure you come back for more. To help our consumers be well informed about various consumer issues, we're offering a free consumer-wise information packet containing an assortment of consumer protection brochures. If you'd like to receive the free packet of brochures, please email education@dcca.hawaii.gov. If you'd like the soft copies, please indicate you'd like the zip file. Or if you'd like the packet with hard copy brochures mailed to you, please include your mailing address. Our director is a big supporter of consumer education. She's here with us today to say a few words. So please allow me to introduce to you the Director of the Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs, Ms. Catherine Awakuni Colon.
Aloha, everybody. Thank you so much. National Consumer Protection Week is really important to DCCA, and we're so glad that we're able to partner again with the United States Postal Service and today also with the Federal Trade Commission to provide some information. I agree with Jackie, there's lots of great information that's going to be shared this week, so come back for more. If you're unable to come back, during the time, we're recording all of the sessions, and those sessions can be viewed on our website beginning next week, very likely. I really want to share my gratitude with the FTC and with Faye in particular for being here and helping us today by sharing all of the information that she has amassed over her years of experience. I was mentioning to her a little bit earlier as we were chatting that we really rely heavily on the FTC to provide good information. We direct lots of consumers to their website. There's many different topics that can be, you can kind of scroll through and dive down into and get a lot of detail about what to do, how to protect yourself as a consumer, what to do if you have been scammed or if your identity has been stolen, those kinds of things. And so really, I'm excited to welcome Faye this morning. Thanks so much, Jackie, for letting me say hi.
Thanks, Kat. Okay, so we're almost there. Just a few reminders for today's participants. Please remain on mute and turn off your camera during the workshop to avoid any distractions to others, and especially our presenter. Today's session will be recorded, as Kat mentioned, and it will be available at a later date on the DCCA website at cca.hawaii.gov/ncpw. So we're shooting for next week, but if it's not up there, please be patient. If you have any questions along the way, please enter it into the chat, and the speaker will address it during the Q&A at the end of the presentation. I'd like to thank today's speaker for being here with us to share her knowledge and expertise. Today, we have Faye Chen Barnouw, the Assistant Regional Director with the Federal Trade Commission from Los Angeles, California. Faye works diligently to stop unfair, deceptive, and fraudulent business practices by conducting investigations, bringing law enforcement actions, building state and local partnerships, and educating consumers and businesses about their rights and responsibilities. Today, she'll be explaining how we can protect ourselves from scams and why it's important to report them. Faye?
All right, thank you, Jackie, and thanks, Kat. And thank you all for joining today. I'm really glad to be here to talk with you about this important topic. So first, I'm going to try to share my screen. So what you should be seeing is a slide that says how to deal with scams. Learn about protecting yourself from scams and where to report them if it happens to you. And I'll start with our standard disclaimer. The views expressed today don't necessarily reflect the views of the commission or any individual commissioner. And good morning, everyone. As Jackie mentioned, my name is Faye Barnouw. I'm with the FTC's Los Angeles office, and today I'll be talking with you about what you can look out for to protect yourself from scams and what you should do if you think you or someone you know is being targeted by a fraudster. So now you should see a slide that says, where do we get our data? So first, a little background. We collect millions of complaints from consumers about fraud. Other organizations and agencies like the BBB, the AARP, and the state attorneys general's offices, and private companies also contribute data. And all of this data is aggregated in our Consumer Sentinel Network database for law enforcement to use in investigations. In last year, we received over 2.8 million fraud reports, and we're told about $5.9 billion in reported losses. So fraud is a big problem. So to warm you guys up, we're going to start with a little quiz, and just wanted to see what you think. What age group do you think is most likely to report losing money to fraud? And you can just keep that in your mind, and I'll tell you the answer in a second. Is it the 20 to 39 age group, 40 to 59 age group, 60 to 79, or 80 and over? Or do you think age just doesn't matter that much? I'm just looking for your gut reaction. And hopefully you have one now, and I'll tell you, if you guessed A, ages 20 to 39, you're correct. All right, so contrary to popular belief, people in the 20 to 29 age group were more likely than other age groups to report losing money to fraud. But older people report that they had higher individual losses. And these are based on reports per million in population. They're not raw numbers. The truth about age and fraud is that it's complicated. Many people think fraud is a problem for seniors, and it is. But younger adults are reporting losses at a disproportionate rate. But at the same time, the drastically higher individual losses are by seniors, especially 80 and over. And that's a concerning statistic for us. Speaking of which, the FTC released its annual Protecting Older Consumer reports. Sorry about that. In October, so please check that out. And also, it's important to recognize that a lot depends on the specific type of fraud. Some frauds affect millennials more than seniors, and vice versa. So next, you should, here's one more quiz. What type of fraud are millennials much more likely to report losing money on than older age groups? Is it tech support scams, fake check scams, real estate and timeshare fraud, or all of the above? I'll just give you a second, see what you think. And I'll tell you, if you guessed B, fake check scams, then you were right. Fake check scams stood out more for millennials than any other type of fraud that we track. They are more than 2 times as likely to report a loss, and others that stand out are job scams, investment scams, scams that claim to help you get out of debt. For older adults, so we're looking at ages 60 and over, the biggest difference is on tech support. They were 6 times more likely to report tech support scams. But other scams that affected this age group were prizes, sweepstakes, and lotteries. And imposter scams, especially ones where the scammer is pretending to be a family member or a friend. Like you may have heard of the grandparent scam. So what is it about fake check scams? I just want to let you know a little bit more about this. In this scam, the general practice is someone will give you a check, and it can be for lots of different reasons. They might be, like you just signed on for a new job and they need you to deposit a check, and then you're supposed to, once the check is cleared, you're supposed to send that money to somebody else. And after you sent the money, then you learn that the check that you deposited into your account, it's bounced, and then you're left holding the bag. And this slide explains why the scam works so well. When you deposit money into your bank account, the banks have to make the funds available within days. It's the law. But uncovering a fake check can take weeks. So by then, the scammer has your money and you have to repay the bank. The important thing to know is just because this check is cleared, it doesn't mean that it's good. And this all hinges, the reason why the scam works is the word cleared means something different to bank employees than it does to the public. So people often report feeling like something isn't quite right, but when they see the money in their account, and they might even be told that the check is cleared, then they feel reassured. And sometimes the scammers will even tell them, check with your bank to make sure it's cleared before you send out the money. And so people do that, but they still get scammed. Here's a breakdown on the types of fake check stories that have been reported to us. More than 50% involve some sort of job or income opportunity. You'll see that mystery shopping, car wrapping, cryptocurrency, and personal assistant jobs are some of the jobs people thought they were getting when they were dragged into a fake check scam. So here's an example. You might answer an ad to wrap your car with advertising, and then you get a check from your so-called employer to pay for putting the advertising on your car. But of course, they'll tell you after you deposit, you're going to deposit the check, and then you're going to use that money to pay the car wrap installer. So you deposit the check, you send the money out to the car wrap installer, who's actually part of the scam. Then their check bounces, but yours hasn't. You're out that money. We've also seen this basic scam in the context of college career services emails to target college students with fake check job scams. And you can see from this slide, there are other areas where scammers trick people with fake checks, like online selling, loans, winnings, and grants. And so what we've seen is adults in their 20s are more than 3 times more likely to report a loss on a fake check job scam than other age groups. All right, so this slide shows the top social media frauds that were reported to us last year. And the reports are up for every age group, but people age 18 to 39 were more than twice as likely as older adults to report losing money to scams that originated on social media. So you've heard of the warnings about watching out for fake news on social media, and the same goes with the advertising that you see on social media, and people that you don't already know who are reaching out to you through social media. We've seen that more than 1 out of every 4 people who've reported losing money to fraud last year, they said that it started on social media, like through a post or an ad. And the top 3 categories were investment scams, romance scams, and online shopping fraud. So returning to the main theme here, I just want to reinforce that our reports show that fraud affects every generation, but it affects each generation differently. And the point here isn't to say it's actually the millennials or it's seniors, but it's actually to say it's millennials, it's seniors, it's everyone, really. So I want to take a moment to talk about how the money is taken. And we've seen a huge increase in money lost through bank transfers. It's the #1 on dollars lost in the year 2020, and that was over $300 million. Okay, and I also want to mention cryptocurrency investment scams. Last year in 2021, more than 39,000 consumers reported losses to cryptocurrency scams. The reported losses totaled more than $750 million. And more than half of those reported cryptocurrency losses were to investment-related fraud, with consumers reporting $423 million lost, with a median loss of $2,400. Notably, in the last quarter of 2021, for the first time on record, more money was reported lost by consumers to fraud using cryptocurrency than any other method of payment. And people in the 20 to 49 age group were over 4 times more likely to report losing money on cryptocurrency investment scams than older age groups. So this is an area to watch out for and be careful about, for sure. I mentioned romance scams earlier, and here are some of the things we've learned from the fraud reports that we've received about online dating scams. Of all the scams that have been reported to us where the person sent money by bank transfer or payment, dating scams cost people more money than any other fraud that has been reported to us. This slide shows the numbers for 2020. We're talking $304 million lost in 2020. Nearly 1 out of every $4 that were reported as sent by bank transfer or bank payment that year went to an online dating scam. For last year, 2021, the numbers are even higher, $547 million in losses for last year alone, based on the reports that we received that were classified as romance scams. The age group that most frequently reported romance scams has been the age group 40 to 69, but the biggest dollar amount losses were reported by people who are 70 or older. So now I want to just talk a bit about the resources that we have available to you for free to help alert your community about common scams, and in particular scams related to COVID that we're seeing. And I'll also let you know how you can help us stop these scams by reporting them to us. So first, let me start by telling you about the FTC's Consumer Center, and this is at the website address is Consumer.ftc.gov. And we also have this website available in Spanish, and that's Consumidor.ftc.gov. This is our main website where we help educate and inform people about detecting, avoiding, and reporting fraud and scams. And if you're not familiar with this website, I would recommend that you do. It's an invaluable tool for the general public as well as for consumer protection professionals. We have over 200 articles available in English and also in Spanish in areas like money and credit, buying and owning a home, mortgages, jobs and making money, and scams. So we also manage the website Theft.gov. This is how you can report identity theft to the federal government, and it's where you can get a recovery plan to help fix the problems that identity theft may have caused. The FTC also has a lot of publications in print, not just on our website, and we have them in English and Spanish, and then in some Asian languages too. We have a few in Chinese, Korean, Tagalog, and Vietnamese. And the topics that we cover in these publications include scams and identity theft and privacy issues, talking to your kids about online safety, dealing with debt, how to fix your credit, resources for military and their families, resources for small business owners, how to avoid immigration scams, sending money overseas, just lots and lots of different topics. And I also want to tell you about our YouTube channel, which has some great videos. So that's at youtube.com/FTC videos. We have great videos. They're very short. They're very engaging. They have really good information about what to watch out for in terms of currently trending scams. And some recent examples include tech support scams, romance scams, fake check scams that I've been talking about, and also videos to help small business owners. We also have videos in Spanish too. So now I want to briefly go over some tips to help protect yourself from coronavirus scams that we've been seeing. Scammers send emails and texts that look real, and they hope to trick you into clicking a link or taking you to a malicious website, or to share your personal information, or to get you to pay some money. If you click, you might also end up having malware placed on your computer or your phone. There are a lot of websites right now that use the word coronavirus or COVID that are pretending to be official sites. So you're going to want to look carefully at the website address and, stick with the known trusted sites. And with emails that you're getting, especially if they're unsolicited, look carefully at the sender's actual email address to see that it's actually coming from where it's pretending to come from. And so even if it looks like the message might be coming from your bank or FedEx or another company or another company that you are familiar with, don't click on the link in an unexpected email or text message, because it could be a spam or phishing attempt. And remember that only scammers. So if you're being asked to pay money through a service like Western Union or MoneyGram by Bitcoin or by putting money on a gift card, just remember that's not typically how a legitimate business will ask you to pay them. So we say if you see that ask, just be on alert. It's probably a scammer. And we encourage you to keep up to date with the latest scams by signing up for alerts, our consumer alerts, that I'll tell you a little bit more about later, but it's ftc.gov/consumer alerts. And when you do, you'll get email updates delivered about what we're seeing in real time. All right, so a couple words about imposter scams. This is the #1 fraud that was reported to us in 2020. Pretending to be someone people trust is what scammers do. They may claim to be a well-known company or a family member or maybe the government. But whatever the pitch is, they all have one thing in common. Their goal is to get your money and your personal information. So like Medicare, some scammers might call to offer something like a COVID-19 kit or a coronavirus package or Medicare benefits related to the virus, but they'll ask you to verify personal information like your bank account or your social security number or your Medicare number. If you get a call from somebody who says they're a Medicare representative and they ask for this kind of information, just hang up. It's a scam. It's not Medicare calling. And you can report it to the FTC at reportfraud.ftc.gov. Relief payment messages. The FTC is getting a lot of reports about fraudulent calls and texts and emails coming from people who are pretending to be from the Social Security Administration or the IRS or the Census Bureau or the FDIC or other federal agency. These are fake government messages. They might say that you've been approved for money, or that you can get quick relief payments, or that you can get cash grants due to the coronavirus. Scammers might also promise you small business loans or send a phishing alert that a check is ready to be picked up. They're all scams, and none of those messages are coming from a government agency. And another example I wanted to give is tech support scammers. They want you to believe that you have some kind of serious problem with their computer, like a virus, and they want you to pay them for services that you don't need or to fix a problem that doesn't exist. And often they'll ask you, the way they'll ask you to pay is by wiring money, or like I said, putting money on a gift card or a prepaid card or a cash reload card. Just know, like, a gift card is for gifts. It's not how you transact business. And so if you're being asked to pay for services through a gift card, that is a huge red flag. And the reason why scammers like the payment that way is because once you release the money to them, the money's gone, and it's hard for law enforcement to get the money back for you. All right, next slide is where to report scams. This is the FTC's website, where it's easy for you to report scams, frauds, and bad business practices. It's called reportfraud.ftc.gov. And you can provide as much or as little information as you want in your report. And after you submit your fraud report, you'll get a report number that you can use to update your report, and also on tips on what to do next. If you provided your email, you'll get information in this information in an email as well. By reporting, you're helping the FTC and our law enforcement partners build cases that stop scams, and also you help us alert others in your community about current fraud trends. So all the information that I've given you today so far, those have come from reports that we've received from members of the public. And so we know what is happening on the ground and can warn people about what to watch out for. It's easy to stay informed about what we at the FTC are doing in our work. And here are some links that you might find helpful. You can sign up to receive our consumer alert emails that I mentioned earlier by going to our website at ftc.gov, consumer alerts. You can find articles and blog posts at consumer.ftc.gov. If you want information with your community in printed format, you can order our one-page publications. It's all free, and it's through our website at ftc.gov/bulk order. And as I just mentioned, when you see or hear about fraud, you can report it to us at reportfraud.ftc.gov. If you want to do it by phone, you can also call our toll-free number, which is 877-FTC-HELP. So that's it in terms of the formal presentation. I do thank you for your interest and for your help in keeping our community safe. So let's see.
Thank you, Faye. I know we have something in the comments.
Okay.
So someone said that they did a quick IP lookup for the DNS server of ftc.gov. It is showing Germany. Shouldn't it be Pentagon or US?
Now that is very interesting. Huh. I would think so. I don't have that technical background, so I can't explain why that would be, but I can report it back. Thank you for that information.
So do we have any other questions? You guys can either put it into the chat, or if you'd like, you can unmute and ask your question. Okay, if not, Faye, would you be able to tell us your Sentinel reports are a collection of all of the complaints that consumers put into the FTC. How does the local offices, like the different states, how do they use that kind of information?
Oh, thank you for asking. Yeah, so the fraud reports that we collect come directly from members of the public. They also come from different consumer protection agencies throughout the country and actually internationally as well. And then we make that information available to law enforcement domestically and internationally, so to the states. And it's available for, like if your local police department wants to run a search to see if like a suspect that they're looking at, it has received complaints, in other parts of the state or even in other states or even internationally, they can run those searches in our Consumer Sentinel database. It can help them build their investigations. It can link them with other law enforcement agencies that might be looking at the same targets or the same types of business practices or whatever. So there are lots of different ways that our law enforcement partners can use the information that is reported into our Consumer Sentinel database. And so the bottom line is it's really helpful when people report the frauds that they're seeing through the reportfraud.ftc.gov portal.
Great, thank you. I know that in my job for consumer outreach, I've gone to that report hundreds of times to pull information to help me kind of get a better handle as to what's happening, within our state. So thank you very much for providing that information.
Oh, sure. And then also one thing I wanted to mention is anyone who's interested, you can run reports through our website as well, just to see what some of the complaint trends are by geographic area, including by state. And that's all available through our website as well.
Okay, Faye, I don't see any other questions in the chat. If anybody wants to unmute to ask a question, we have our expert from the Federal Trade Commission here today, and what a valuable resource it is. Okay, well, if that's it, no, there are no questions. I just wanted to say our last thank yous to everybody. Thank you for joining us today for the 2022 NCPW Virtual Consumer Fair promoting consumer education. I'd like to thank all of our speakers for sharing their knowledge and expertise during this workshop series. So please check the DCCA website next week for all of the recordings of the workshops. And if you'd like a consumer packet, please email education@dcca.hawaii.gov to request a hard or soft copy of the packet. So thank you again for taking the time to learn more about being consumer wise. I'll leave the email address up for the request to get a consumer wise information packet. And thank you again for joining us today.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much, Faye.